he's showed so many times that he's completely out of touch with the British public. You know, he is an elite. He's right in that upper 1%. He doesn't know how ordinary Britons live, never mind people who are homeless. I don't know, do you remember the car debacle when he was putting fuel in a car that clearly wasn't his and he didn't know what to do there either? I think I'm over him. I'm over him. Let's have another one.
But is the important thing having a prime minister who knows how to fill up a Kia, or a prime minister who understands how the financial systems work?
Yeah, he don't understand how homelessness works, though, does he? Which is actually quite important. When we are the 6th richest country in the world, yet we've got millions of people who are living either in insecure housing or no housing. So, I'm sorry, I'm not going to give him any of that. You can't understand an economy if you don't understand how the poorest people are living, and he clearly doesn't. Like I said, I'm over him. Next.
Is anyone willing to defend? Are we being harsh in the
What I would say about Rishi is that I think he's a good man. I think he means well. He seems very kind, very sweet, but he is not suited at this time, at this place, to be Prime Minister of this country. The Prime Minister's job is the most powerful, important job in the land. He needs to understand the consequences of his policies, and also he needs to be a little bit more politically savvy. For a man who is supposedly, super intelligent, he's got no clue how to communicate with the ordinary man and woman on the street. He's made so many little mistakes that seem quite innocent, but just reflect that he has no idea how the other half live whatsoever. And the question is, for Rishi, is if he wasn't in politics, can you imagine him working and helping out in a soup kitchen? And I think for me, it's a definite no. Often it's those who have suffered poverty themselves who are the most charitable, who do things like that in soup kitchens. If he's never understood poverty like, a lot of people in this country, how can he understand how to talk to a homeless person even? But I don't think he's a bad person. He's just the wrong Prime Minister for now. OK, well, if that was the defence of Rishi, let's see what happens next. I said he wasn't a bad person.
Well, I suppose that's something. Ricky, look, in the build-up to this, I was asking, is this a PR stunt? But even if it was a PR stunt, it's a bad PR stunt.
Well, if it was a PR stunt, it's backfired spectacularly. I don't necessarily believe that you have to have experienced poverty or live a life of deprivation in order to come across as genuine in that kind of situation. I think that former Prime Minister in Boris Johnson would look far more at ease in that kind of situation. He has a fairly privileged background. Eton educated. I just think that Rishi Sunak has form, if truth be told. There was a clip that emerged during the Tory leadership contest where he was talking about different types of friends that he has, and he said they had working class friends, but not working class friends, which didn't come across very well at all. During the Tory leadership contest, when he was talking with Tory members in Royal Tunbridge Wells, he was bragging about rearranging government funding formulas, which is rediverting funds away from deprived urban areas. And I just think that tells you that I feel that his political instincts, especially in the middle of a cost of living crisis, which is about to get a whole lot worse, I think he, in a way... We're talking about Liz Truss being at electoral disadvantage for the Conservative Party. I'm not sure that Rishi Sunak is really that much better.
I thought had so much more character than Rishi. Yes, she was flawed, but it is so much more character. She at least said how she felt, and yes, she made gaffes, but they were funny, and she had no filter. Whereas
I think people were laughing at her. Wow. That's not what you want. That when you're trying to tell.
That's true.
I think what I'm trying to say is you've got to have a political narrative, and particularly in these times when people are really struggling, is your political narrative has got to sort of be empathetic to that. And I don't think that Rishi Sunak, I think he may have empathy, but I don't think he's got the political narrative. And I think that's a problem for him. And as we move on, like I said, at the end of sort of the winter, when the bills start coming in and it really starts to bite, the Prime Minister or the leadership that the country will need is someone and something that has a story and an understanding of just what's happening in the country, and I don't think he's got it.
I don't think he needs experience actually to have experienced poverty, but it shows that I don't think he's been around helping in any charitable way or necessarily doing one-to-one with people of different classes. And that, I think, a Prime Minister needs to have. He should have prepared much more for the role, because I think he was preparing for it a long time before he was made Prime Minister. You know, the Ready for Rishi thing, I think, was in the bag for a long time, and so he should have had a better PR team. He needs a refund or sack his PR team, because they're giving him terrible... This PR stunt was so clearly cringeworthy. He looked so awkward and out of place and very shy, and it didn't do him any good. So I don't know who is paying.
If you're in that kind of setting and you'll be talking about financial markets instead of food inflation, then you're bang in trouble politically.
Yeah, but he really didn't know his way around that fried egg.
Isn't this the problem?
I know, did you see how he slapped off?
That's what upset you the most, was it? Isn't it the problem, though, that for some reason we're treated like children, that we need these press moments with Prime Ministers? Like when a flood happens, we send a Prime Minister with a mop. Why are we falling for the narrative that a Prime Minister should be helping out with the mopping? They've got other things to do, haven't they?
No, I'm not saying that they need to be sort of mopping stuff up. I mean, I remember Boris with his broom, which was ridiculous. But what I'm saying is people need to trust that our politicians have an empathy with their situation. And so far, Sunak, he's not coming across as having that empathy. So when the help with the energy costs come to an end in March, are people going to think that he is cruel? And I think that's the question. You know, rather than being inept, are they going to start to think, well, actually, this guy is so rich, you know, he is cruel rich?
Well,
but I don't think being rich is the problem.
We have to move on, I'm afraid. But it's worth saying, you know, does Rishi Sunak understand the plight of the poor? He is the poorest person in his own marriage. So...